Afternoon. You find me ensconced in my club in London's fashionable Soho, currently at Black's, working on Bleeding Cool, which I like to do, especially on Tuesdays, Wednesdays or Thursdays, if I'm back in town. And so I thought I'd look back on some interesting stuff that's been happening this weekend. Specifically, we called it DC Weekend, because there seemed to be a bunch of DC stuff coming through that we had a bit of fun with. Well, first of all, we got the news that DC will be publishing collections of their Walmart exclusive giant-sized comics in October and November later this year. Hardcovers for the Superman and Batman books, paperback for the Wonder Woman. That's all we know so far. We know that they'll be coming through November, October kind of time by Tom King, Brian Bendis, Amanda Conner, all those kind of folk. Who else do we have? Well, that's a good point. We had DC were repackaging. This is a bit interesting. Repackaging Blue Beetle and Question comics from like ages back as The Road to Watchmen. So yeah, again, getting more blood out of that stone or smiley face, whichever way you want to squeeze it. I'm not exactly sure how Steve Ditko would have reacted to that, but hey, he's gone now, and The Road to Watchmen it is. Maybe I'll get a few more sales for those books. That'd be nice. We got a new cover by Frank Miller for the Superman Year One book. Quite nice. It says it's a bit weird. It's got like Superman pulling what I guess is a trench coat off him, but it looks a little bit weird. It looks more like he's coming out of a sack. I'm not sure if that'll get any. It says it's not the final cover, but we'll see how much it goes. We also broke the news that Amy Wolfram is writing the new DC Superhero Girls graphic novel called At Metropolis High. Had Graham McMillan from Hollywood Reporter a little bit sad that we ran that story, because apparently he had it exclusive lined up for Monday, and he still did the story, he just didn't call it exclusive anymore. To be fair, which is more than most people do. Most people just run it as an exclusive anyway, and just try to forget that Bleeding Cool already run the story. What else? We had Ridley Pearson's Super Son sequel with Lena Gonzalez called The Foxglove Mission. So that's going to be a thing. And with David Wayne and Jonathan Kent and the character Candace having a greater role. And yeah, that looked quite interesting. So we got that up. What else do we have? Also in the DC Zoom / Ink line, we had Kirk Scroggs was recreating Swamp Thing as Swamp Kid. Now, Kirk Scroggs is the writer, illustrator of the Snoop Troop books, quite popular, as well as the Tales of a Sixth Grade Muppet and Wiley and Grandpa's Creature Features books. So whether this will be a graphic novel, illustrated novel, either way he's doing it all, and it's going to be called Swamp Kid. Apparently not Alec Holland, this is a young Russell Wainwright, who apparently somehow gets all swamp kidded up. Apparently he has algae for hair, a tree trunk of a right arm, webbed toes, and a parsnip for a thumb. His favourite meal is sunlight, and a frog lives in his arm. So there we are. We're going to get his kind of like his diary, I guess, with like text and illustrated. Quite intriguing. The first one's called The Secret Spiral of Swamp Kid, and we'll be looking for that as and when it comes out. What else? Okay, that's good. They changed the covers for Black Canary, Ignite, and Superman of Smallville. Not a lot, just a little bit. It kind of shows you that they're really trying to pay attention to the details, covers being oh so important. So what else did we discover? Oh, that's right. DC are going to be publishing tie-ins with Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn, the movie, coming out later today. They're putting together a specific book to tie in with that movie. Now, whether that means tying in with they get new products, new comics, or old stuff that will then be repackaged to tie in, The Road to Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. I don't know. We'll see that later. We also got the Doomsday Clock collection is scheduled for November. Now, I don't know if that's being a bit too optimistic, depending how the schedule's been so far. But, November it is so far. Let's see if they can stick to that. We also had a whole bunch of DC omnibuses, absolutes, and big books coming for the end of 2019. So got an absolute art of Adam Hughes, so that'll be like massively big sized. Got omnibuses for Batman and Robin by Tomasi and Gleason. A fourth New Teen Titans omnibus from Wolfman and Perez. We got that's right. We got the Man and Superman, the Deluxe edition, which is the Marv Wolfman book that came out quite recently. It's being repackaged as it was the 100-page kind of giant thing for the comic stores. It's now being repackaged as a 144-page Deluxe edition hardcover for comic stores. So just a different way of the same thing, bit of a harder, more prestigious setting. Injustice: Gods Among Us gets an omnibus, which will be including, now I didn't get this right, Injustice: Gods Among Us 1 to 12 plus the annual, Injustice: Gods Among Us Year 2 1 to 12 plus the annual, and Injustice: Gods Among Us Year 3 1 to 12 plus the annual. Quite a lot of comics, quite a lot of Injustice. Wonder Woman's getting a 4th Golden Age omnibus. Lucifer's getting an omnibus. That's quite an impressive thing. That's going to be just the first volume. It's Lucifer's 1 to 35, Lucifer Nirvana, and the original Sandman Presents Lucifer 1 to 3. So that means we'll probably get another one in 2020. The Flash of Two Worlds Deluxe Edition is going to be coming through. Just again, they like the hardcover. Oh, we've got a Batman and Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo omnibus. Again, volume 1, but that will be collecting like Batman 1 to 33 from the new 52. We have more details. We've got the Crisis on Infinite Earths Companion Deluxe, volume 3, by Wolfman and Perez, collecting a lot of the tie-in issues that kind of went along with Crisis of Infinite Earth back in the day. And this is the 3rd volume, so they were quite a lot. Sandman Overture is getting a new version for the 30th anniversary of Sandman, only though, even though it kind of really just came out. And they're calling it Sandman Volume 0. 0 Hour 25th Anniversary Omnibus coming out. That's all Dan Jurgens and Jerry Ordway and Frank Fosco and Ken Branch, stuff like that. Aquaman Sword of Atlantis is getting a book 1. That's from the Kurt Busiek and Jackson Geese storyline. Superman: The City of Tomorrow, written by Jeff Loeb. They're collecting all of his Superman stories together. Batman 0 Years getting a complete collection by Snyder and Capullo, which will kind of cross over with some of the stuff that's already in that Batman omnibus. So, pays money, takes your choice. We now know that the Heroes in Crisis companion book will have the Batman Flash crossover, the price, plus the Flash annual where Barry Allen realises. We also got some individuals of the Crisis set. I need to add this. We've just got a whole list of what's actually in the Crisis box set too. I'll add that to the article, I think, because it's quite big. And then we also went into what DC were talking about at Comics Pro a couple of weeks ago, and that was also quite in-depth. We managed to get a lot more notes from what Dan Didio was saying to the troops. That was interesting because he talked about Batman Damned, and you may remember Batman Damned, you may have read it on Bleeding Cool. That's the story that kind of went out there with Batman getting his bits out on screen, and how it basically kind of like almost took the company down, almost. So many changes, so much reaction, the book not being reprinted, everything getting delayed, everything going under the microscope, books being cancelled or rescheduled because they had to be rechecked again, Second Coming going, and lots more that I guess we don't even know about. Lots of other changes and books that were curtailed that never even got announced. So at Comics Pro, Dan Didio was talking to the retailers there, and he said that the retailers, he told them that he didn't want to go back to press on Batman Damned because, frankly, he was embarrassed by the whole affair. But it's an embarrassment that kind of costs DC and retailers dear. I mean, the first print now sells for $100 plus. I mean, there is no second print. The second issue had more orders than the first, which is quite the rarity. There's a lot of unmet demand there, and the book will be edited for the collection. So I'll be going through that with a fine-tooth comb just to see what changed. Dan Didio says he did notice the change when he basically brightened the colours on the book, as it might have been a kind of a lack of proofreading. So he says this collected edition will have a number of corrections to it in the first issue. So I'm going to be definitely doing a before and after on that. Now, they've made Batman Damned 2 returnable, but I can't really see anyone wanting to return it. I mean, the sales have been too high, and again, it also goes for a premium on eBay now. But moreover, he told them that the whole Batman Damned situation caused DC Comics to rethink who they are as a company. Hence all the changes that kind of came down. And Second Coming being the most recent of those. But there's all sorts of other stuff. I mean, we still haven't seen the other history of the DC universe, however that's going to come out. But it kind of really was kind of the bat penis that took down our publisher. It's a penis that kind of like has cast a long shadow. Yeah, you can enjoy that image. I know I have. But that was good. He kind of like a lot of kind of self-flagellation from Dan at Comics Pro about that. I don't think he particularly got a very warm reception for that because a lot of retailers really liked all the fuss. So what else? Well, he talked about the Walmart deals, the fact that they're no longer going to be exclusive magazines coming through Walmart. Everyone will be able to get them, and how the previous stuff will be collected. He kind of had a bit of an apology to make about some things. He didn't know that the first appearance of Jenny Hex from Young Justice would be in the Batman Giant issue 4, and he kind of wanted to apologise for that. And he's talked about, it's all about growing content. So the whole Walmart thing, for growing content, it's just for limited time. He didn't think it was kind of cannibalising content for comic book stores. Not sure how true that is, certainly compared to some retailers I've spoken to. But it is seemingly a limited time, and now they're going to be moving on to something more shareable with everyone. And I certainly think retailers seem to be very happy about that news. He was also talking about how Comics Pro, taking place in Charlotte, North Carolina this year, it's all about putting a high level of institutional knowledge in one room so it can be harnessed to make positive changes in the industry. It shouldn't, if places share knowledge from all sides, it shouldn't just be people's complaints, but more what to do about them. And Didier was talking about the changes DC is making to its own plans. We talked about how they've been reducing the number of titles being published and reducing the number of collections. But he also gave, for some of his reasons, collected editions have been falling in sales. Dan feels DC haven't paid enough attention to this format, which has led to recent cancellations and repagination of books, which we've seen with fewer books containing more content, as well as things like the hardcover comic store exclusive editions of Mr. Miracle and Batman White Knight. He's talked about DC's comics plans to work with talent to hone single-issue storytelling rather than the decompressed writing for the collection, which has been more popular over the years. And we've revealed their decision to focus on publishing comics in more of a shared universe to create stories that the audience believe matter, and that there'll be marketing titles to that aim, and they've been reworking their marketing department to reflect this. And regarding promotions for the comics industry, Dan isn't a fan of threshold variants, where stores can order so many of one title cover if they order so many of another. He was asked about the possibilities of overprinting titles so they could be more easily reordered by stores, by increasing discounts on certain titles or making more titles returnable. And he says these are all good strategies, but they're impractical on a wider basis. Increased returnability would lead to a reduced retailer discount to order additional costs, while deeper discounts apparently let DC less enthused to sell more products that way. There's less of an incentive, I guess. He's also been worried about the impact that increasing the standard cover price of a comic from $2.99 to $3.99, and to be fair, to $4.99 in a number of cases, becoming much more common. He sees a clear increase in the division of sales between their best-selling and lower-selling titles, and it's something they're trying to correct. And they're trying to make print comics have added value that won't appear in the digital editions. So we'll see. They're seeing massive growth in interest in their young adults and kids line. Hence all that Ink and Zoom titles we've just been talking about. He also thinks there's too many free comic book day titles. He's only got the 2. But there's going to be 50, I think it's 52 this year. Fun number. But it's something I've heard from a number of people, not just kind of Dan talking about. So that's kind of a look at a bunch of DC stuff that we've been running. We did actually talk about the talent pool. That's right. How the DC Comics talent pool. We think it's talent pool in comics in general. There's too few quality creators for too many titles across the industry. But he says that DC because DC pay more in page rates and royalties apparently, they always get the cream of the crop. Is that true? Certainly a good tactic. That's certainly something to appeal to retailers. Very much we're doing it fine. Everybody else terrible, but what you're doing is fine. So that's kind of what seemed to have gone down at DC Comics on Bleeding Cool over the weekend. Hope you enjoyed. I think it's about time to do something similar for Marvel, don't you? See you soon.